Hola niños, today we will be investigating two very different cultures and take a closer look at some of their favorite music. Specifically, we're going to be looking at a kind of Southern American music called Zydeco, and we're going to compare that with this music called Norteño, which comes out of northern Mexico. But first, let's review what we know about cultura. Cultura, or culture, can include food, music, clothing, art, customs, or the way people behave, beliefs, traditions, and religion. Let's take a look at some examples of Mexican cultura. Here we see some examples of their clothing. We've got a mariachi right here with her sombrero. We've got some very flowy dresses, examples of Mexican attire. Here we see delicioso Mexican food. You see those delicious tacos, a whole bunch of good stuff there. Here are some brightly colored examples of Mexican art. We'll see some of the calaveras, some of the Dia de los Muertos calaveras, very typical that we see around Octubre y Noviembre. And we see a painting of the famous Mexican painter Frida Kahlo. And of course the music. Here's a group of mariachis. Notice that one of them is holding an accordion. We're going to talk a little bit more about the accordion in just a little bit. Because we're going to be focusing on a music style called Norteño. Norteño is a genre of music. You know, like in America, we have different kinds of music. We've got pop, and we've got rock and roll, and we've got reggaeton, and we've got rap and hip hop. Well, Norteño is a genre of Mexican music. It comes from a region in North Mexico, which is where it gets its name, because Norteño means northern. So Norteño is northern Mexican music. And it's based upon the polka. I don't know if you guys have seen that old music where people have the accordions and the lederhosen, and it's based on a waltz tempo. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, bump, bump, bump. Some of you guys may have covered this tempo already with your music teacher. Norteño is different from mariachi music though. It uses an accordion and sometimes can have a drummer, like you see in regular rock and roll and regular American pop music. Here is an example of Norteño music. I'm just going to play you a little clip that we see right here. This musician has his accordion, his accordion. We see a drummer back here, an acoustic guitar, looks like a 12-string, and then we see la guitarra baja, or the bass guitar. Let's listen to what Norteño sounds like. Es una mujer. Some of you guys may have heard this kind of music on the radio or going to parties or anything around San Antonio. It's very much part of our cultura, part of our culture. This right here is taken from a Tejano music fair in 2018. Now let's compare Norteño music that you just heard with the accordion, the drums. We're going to compare that to Zydeco. Zydeco is a style of music from the Southwest, from here in America, particularly from a state called Louisiana. And it's associated with a group of people of French descent named the Cajuns. Its roots are French, because we remember from talking about Mardi Gras that it's French inspired. So it's French, African American, and Afro-Caribbean styles of music. Like Norteño, it uses la accordion, the accordion, but sometimes there'll be a washboard player that helps keep the beat. A long, long time ago, people used these pieces of metal to rub clothes against and scrub out stains. You're going to see what these look like and how they use them in music. Okay? Look for the washboard coming out. But before we do that, let's look at some elements of Cajun culture. Here we have some examples of Cajun food. We've got some jambalaya, and down below we have crawfish. A very, very popular thing, and I was lucky enough to see it, are crawfish boils there in Louisiana. Cajuns love crawfish boils. Here, under traditions, we have examples from Mardi Gras. We have a float here celebrating Mardi Gras, which is the celebration associated with the beginning of Lent. Right before Lent, there's this big, big party and everyone comes out and has fun. The last element that I have up here is music. And here we see some Zydeco musicians, this one with his accordion, and this guy with a washboard. You'll see he's using a stick or a fork or spoon to scrape against that washboard and make a cool rhythm that goes with the music. Let's check out an example of Zydeco music. Then let's keep in mind what Norteño sounded like so we can compare Zydeco with Norteño. Okay, we see the washboard, we see the accordion, we see la batería, the drums back here. Let's listen to a little bit of it. Oop, where did it go? Here we go.
Forgot to tell you that you were listening to the Broussard brothers, because the young man on the rubboard happens to be the young man on the accordion's brother. How about a nice hand for the rubboard man, Gerald Broussard? Hello, Zydeco y
You hear his accent, that's that Cajun, French-inspired dialect. And you'll hear it's very rhythmic. It's got a very good beat. It was originally made to dance to. So as we come to the end of this presentation, I want you to think about these two styles of music. We've heard Norteño with its accordion. We've heard Zydeco, very heavy on the accordion too. What do these styles of music have in common? Also be thinking, how are these styles of music different? How do you think Mexican and Cajun culture might be similar? Now lastly, how do you think Mexican and Cajun culture might be different? We got to see some of the music. We got to see some of the food. We got to listen to Norteño and we got to listen to Zydeco. Keep these ideas in mind as we move on to the assignment below. I'll see you guys in class. Hasta pronto. Adios.